ask you, Denil, what's been the biggest eye opener during this entire project?
Yeah, I think honestly, for me, it's just been to be extremely patient. Impact doesn't happen overnight, and I think that a lot of individuals, supporters, donors, governments, grant makers, they want to see that impact overnight. And the reality is, if we want an impact and a solution that's empowering, that's sustainable, it's gonna take time for that to happen, especially when you're dealing with tech. So I always like to compare the Find My Parent technology to something like Uber or Airbnb. When you start looking at these tech startups, they were not successful overnight. Some of them, it took 5 to 10 years and even more for them to scale at the level they are today. You have to have a lot of users to match drivers to passengers or homeowners to potential guests. A lot of users in different cities, in different markets, different communities to match ones that are looking for a ride in that specific, neighborhood and a driver that's there. And that's what we're also finding with Find My Parent. We're having successes, but it's really like the long term game that we need to be in here continuing to improve our technology, getting spreading awareness about it so just everyday people know that it exists. And I'm very confident and no doubt that with time, we'll start seeing just a snowball of reunifications on our app. But we have to do all the hard work first. And we've been lucky to be able to do it because we all have our hearts in this. So we do it again pro bono. Our tech team is the only part of our team that's paid because we believe in it and we see the long-term vision.
Yeah, I completely agree. Um, it, it's um, it's a long game, right? It's it's getting awareness, people knowing about the application, knowing that this has happened or can happen, and then being proactive, or even if you are reactive, is there's something out there now to assist me. And
Yeah.
since this is such a, I don't want to say niche market, but I would say it's a very different approach in terms of finding your relatives or loved lost ones. And it's bringing that to the table of somebody like, hey, this is like a, now I have like an app that can help me reunite with family members. Until that becomes hits the masses, and we have to keep pushing. But it's been great. I think we've learned a lot, made some great changes to our application, our enterprise tool, how it works. So it's giving us that agile ability that we haven't blown up yet. And so like, oh look, we've had all these gaps, or we need to address as we scale, where we're going to see some hiccups and address those now.
Yeah, and do you want to talk a bit about the enterprise solution? Because I think if anybody's listening that runs an NGO or any type of agency where they're working directly with families of missing persons, I think they'd be really interested in hearing about basically this product that we offer also to organizations. It goes beyond what we offer to individuals who've been affected by family separation.
Yeah, absolutely. So expanding on what Denil said, um, when we first designed the application, it was the peer-to-peer, and then we had the privilege of working with the National Police of Ukraine. And when we created a partnership with them, we learned a lot in terms of what is it that a customer base will be asking for in order for them to manage their users, right? And so what we did there, we created a customer portal where the customer themselves can go ahead and see their own data themselves, right? So an example is if an NGO from somewhere in Central America, as an example, were to approach is like, hey, we have a lot of displaced children, orphanage, child trafficking, anything of that sort. Parents are looking for their children. They've been taken abroad. Domestically, we don't know. How is it that your organization can help this, our current NGO who doesn't have the level of technology and reach to expand that reach? So what we offer them is like, okay, you become a customer of ours. We issue your own customer admin portal. And there you can set certain settings in terms of how the application gets deployed on the iOS. and Google Play Store. And we also have a web portal. Whatever changes you make on that admin portal reflect on those applications. And then you have your own process and how you vet and let people into your application, and you manage that. So then you are the administrator of people who will sign up for the application. And there's a bunch of tools. There's like a search. You can create users via if somebody approaches your office. You can import via CSV because that's what we find a lot of NGOs have CSV files. So we give you the ability of doing a mass import. You can create your own workflows, and when there's a potential matches, so you can log out everything on the application. There's an audit trail and everything for you. You can message individuals specifically through the application, send announcements. And in the future, where we can have some sort of support where you can, if a user messages you, can have a certain conversation support. That's a high overview in terms of what we offer to our customer base. And then our goal is in the future, Denil thinks working very hard at this, is that as we grow our huge customer base, so to speak, let's say 100 or 100 NGOs, create partnerships within each other. So one NGO, let's say NGO A, has the data, certain data with NGO B, and there's a potential match. Both NGOs get the credit of the reunification process. So it's no longer like, well, what if they have to sign to one particular NGO in order for a match to be made? It's actually, it's the data, it can be cross-platform with the, of course, agreements being in place and only certain data being shared that our customer base is willing to share to make that potential match. So that's kind of the approach that we're doing. That's already all done, and we can deploy new customers within, we like to say 2 to 3 weeks, because we want to make sure professional services, the training, how to use the application. And on our end, as a Find My Parent, our job has been, okay, how do we make an ecosystem where everything can be deployed quickly, managed quickly, bug fixes, etc. So we had to think of large scale here, right? It's not just like a normal mom and pop shop NGO. So we're really thinking large scale here.
And we really deployed this additional technology directly for NGOs based on, I think, a lot of learning we got in the field. And one of the biggest challenges I think that NGOs face, one is that they all store data about missing persons in silos. So when somebody in a family goes missing for whatever reason, even if we're just talking about adoption, they were separated and they're looking for a biological parent, or there was a natural disaster, an earthquake, and now, you have children in hospitals and you don't know where their parents are, or there's a conflict and mass migration and movement of a population, unaccompanied children moving across borders. Parents, children, families go to various entities to register those missing persons, sometimes law enforcement. Sometimes there's not a trust in law enforcement, and so they go to local NGOs. And usually there'll be dozens in large countries like the US, probably thousands of NGOs working on this issue. And all of those will store data in usually a pretty basic Excel sheet. If any of them are using any technology, it's pretty basic, where they'll have these lists. But they're not sharing them. They all exist in silos. And then it becomes very hard because if one NGO had information about a child that they think was spotted, or let's say that there was an unaccompanied child and it went to a certain refugee center, and that NGO has information on that child, and the child was reported separated by a family member to another NGO, like how is that data going to connect? It doesn't right now. So that was a big issue that we're trying to improve, make the work of NGOs more efficient, and really in the end, reunite more families. That is our core goal